What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Praise Podcast. It is so good to be here with you all today. My name is Eric. If this is your first time tuning in, hello. It is so good to have you a part of the Praise Podcast family. If you are a regular listener, then you know, of course, who is in the room. It's the Brooke Paninsky is also here today, and this is one that This podcast has been on our list for a while, and it just had to take the right time for this podcast to happen. And guess what, Brooke? Today is the right time. So I'm so excited. We've got a special guest with us today on the Praise Podcast, and you guys are in for a treat. So we're looking forward to the conversation we're going to have. But before we get to that, of course, we have to give you all the details and all the things that we need you to do to make and do that you already have done, and it's what makes Praise Podcast. So if you can leave us a rating and review, that always helps this podcast get seen and heard by more people. Of course, we always prefer the nice ratings and reviews, but you know what? You gotta say what you gotta say. So you do you. A rating and review is better than no rating and review, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that could be debatable. But we'd love for you to do that. You could also, share this podcast with your friends and family. I mean, Brooke, have you shared this podcast?
I have.
Anybody?
My brother Blake gets them often. I just like.
He's like famous.
He's not. My gosh.
Blake, if you're listening, you should share this podcast. Brooke does us no good. Blake, you share the podcast.
That is true. I do. Like randomly, my brother and I truly we have a special relationship, and there will be certain things I know we talk about that I'm like, oh, Blake would love this, and I'll just send it to him. So I do. Yes, I shared Praise Podcast.
Shout out to Blake.
Yeah.
The new BMO. Now that your last name's not Moore anymore,
that's a whole other story to tell, but we won't go there yet.
Shout out to Blake. But yeah, we appreciate you all listening. Of course, we drop new episodes every other Monday, but if you don't want to have to worry about when the correct Monday is, all you got to do is hit that like and follow button, and that'll automatically let you know every time there is a new Praise Podcast episode dropped, and you don't have to worry about it. And the best part about the whole thing is, Brooke, you know what the best part is?
Tell me.
It's completely free.
It is
not
the
a
best
thing.
part.
You don't have to pay for a thing.
That's great.
It is great. It's so great, especially with inflation.
I was going to say, let's make a comment about the gas prices since everybody else is.
Yes. Cue rant about gas prices.
Yeah.
They're high. Okay, done.
Moving
Got that.
on.
So let's just get right to it. Let us introduce our special guest. So who we've got joining us today, Brooke, is, I'm trying to think when I would have first met this person. It's been a while now. I mean, we'll get into more than that, but I mean, like, there are a few people that drive the ship that is Creative Arts Department at Central and have for a really long time. And this person, I mean, has driven this ship for a long time. And all the things that people really know and love about CA, like, this is kind of the man behind the scenes that knows it. So I'm so excited to force him out of his behind the scenes hole today and make him share, because we have the Aaron Fadler with us today.
What's up, everybody?
The Aaron Fadler is in the house.
It's amazing.
And so for those of you that don't know Aaron, we're going to dive into his story a little bit. But Aaron is really, he does so much. I think your technical title is like graphic designer, but that like is just
graphic artist. I think
yeah, graphic artist.
Graphic artist is like where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, really, artist is really just it. I mean, Aaron does majority of all the graphical stuff that you see anywhere in the building or on social media, et cetera. And not only does he do that, he does all of the lighting that you see pretty much anywhere in the building. And I mean, artist is a good way to do that. And so, and then of course he gets into like we all do, but I mean, he gets into just a plethora of other job titles that come with that. But Aaron has. I mean, Aaron, when did you start at Central?
This is going to be my 15th anniversary coming up this fall.
15.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I knew it's
amazing.
been.
That's a big one too. 15.
What is that? I'm trying to do math really fast in my head, and I'm not good at that.
12
would be like struggle. Be like 07?
I was going to say 07, I believe.
07?
Yeah. I was in the 7th grade.
August or September, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
15 years.
Wow, that's
but
wild.
I mean, one of the first, I think really my first real interaction, hang out with Aaron, was when we went to Oklahoma.
Those were the days.
You remember the Oklahoma trip? That was we had. I'm pretty sure we were driving. We had like multiple vehicles. We had like a budget truck or something.
A Penske or budget.
Yeah, and we had for whatever reason we brought walkie-talkies. I even guess this was before cell phones were. I mean, we all had them, but I guess for whatever reason,
seriously,
we thought
in 07,
like
those were like, I mean, if like razors were a thing, or like those, what are the Jukes, or I mean, so like real phones were just kind of up and coming.
But I remember we were like with the walkie-talkies. I feel like we were playing like guess this song via walkie-talkies, like both sides, like the budget truck and like the van. Like we were just sending songs back and forth through the walkie-talkies, trying to guess what it was.
Imagine even today, if we had, since we have cell phones, there probably still no signal going to through Branson and into Oklahoma.
Yeah,
it was walkie-talkies is probably your best bet.
Yeah, but it was,
awesome.
But that was I think. Probably when we really first met for the first time, and I mean, like I said, Aaron does, and we'll get into more of this. But I would say that obviously Brooke and I get to kind of do a lot on the worship side. Steve does such an incredible job on all the video and production side of things there, and Aaron is kind of like, I don't know, it's the glue that draws it all together. And we're going to talk lighting and worship and all that later on, so we won't spoil that too much. But there's such a relationship between all the different areas, and I mean, seriously, like what Brooke and I do doesn't translate, and what Steve doesn't translate the same way without what Aaron and his crew, Wes, and all them guys do. So we'll get more into that later. But Aaron, this is your first time on the podcast, so first, welcome.
What an awesome intro. Thank you for the introduction. Hey, man, I
mean every word. Mean every word.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So on the podcast, Aaron, we do this thing called Song Spotlight. So every week, basically, Brooke and I, we throw out a song that we've been listening to a bunch recently, and we think other people should listen to it as well. So I think he's even got lyrics pulled up already. He's ready to go on this. So Brooke, I'll let you go. You start us off. Ladies first. What's your song spotlight this week?
Okay, so my song spotlight selection this week is Just the Mention of His Name by The Belonging Co. And it's their new album. I mean, it's been out a couple weeks. We may or may not have talked about this already. I really don't know what we talked about on our podcast and just like not on our podcast. So we might have discussed this already. I don't know. But it is their newest album and it's so good. And I was even listening to it this morning. And there's just something about it that, I don't know. It's just, the lyrics are powerful. I mean, I feel like I say that every time because it's just kind of my gig, but the lyrics of it are so powerful. And I think that like just what it's declaring and what it's speaking over people, it just totally, we're talking about atmosphere in a room, right? And like when we're singing lyrics like this, like it changes the atmosphere in the room. It has to, when I'm going to read some of the lyrics because they're just the best part. If you've not heard the song, then, I'm going to just read them. Okay, so it says, if you walked in sick, you're going to walk out healed. If you walked in bound, you're going to walk out free. Because just the mention of his name, and it just goes on to say, everything can change. If you walked in heavy, you're going to walk out light. If you walked in weary, you're going to be all right. If you walked in down, you're going to walk out up. If you walked in empty, he's going to fill your cup. If you walked in broken, you're going to walk out whole. If you walked in lost, he's going to save your soul. And just saying that just the mention of his name, everything can change. And I just think that's just where we're at. I mean, that's where so many people are at. Or if we're not, we need to get to that place of just like all we literally have to do is speak, declare his name, and believe that he does what he says he can do. And it literally does change everything. So yeah, that's what I'm jamming to right now. It's so good.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one.
Yeah. And you love Belonging Co. too, Aaron.
Yeah, that's actually from my list as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron.
Okay.
What do you
I
got?
listen to them a lot.
So good.
So yeah, from their Now album, I believe it's called This Far.
This Far.
Mm-hmm.
And
which also great song. Wow.
Yeah, I just have it on repeat. I mean, I listen to the lyrics of the bridge. You never change, and I know you won't start now. You stay the same, even if it all falls down. Mm-hmm. And then the tag reminds me, it says, you're faithful then and now, even if it all falls down. You're faithful then and now, even if it all falls down. Mm-hmm. And gosh, those really resonate with me so much right now. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, music is huge for me. I mean, it's. I feel like all of us, whatever we listen to music-wise, it even when we're not listening to music, it plays back in your head. I notice I'll wake up sometimes in that song that I was listening to, and it's been just resonated in my head, just keeps playing over and over. And man, I was talking about, even if it all falls down, like that's seriously, and if I'm being raw and real right now, it's been like that for me and my family lately. And so this just is a good reminder, and I encourage you to listen to it, because it's got that driving bridge, but just catches you and just reminds you of the power of God and how good He is and how faithful He is, and that He's never been, He's never let me down. Yeah. And He won't stop now.
Now, is this the same song? And again, I don't have lyrics in front of me, but is this the same song where he says something along the lines of, like, you didn't bring me this far to leave me now or to leave me here or something like that?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, the very first time that I then heard that song, that was the lyric that stuck out to me the most, because that is just what, I, again, can relate so much of what I'm walking right now, but I'm thinking that's what so many people are walking right now for the times that it is and whatever. But it's like, to be a people that know where to point the finger of just like who's really, I don't know. I think it's so easy just to ask God or blame God or be mad at God or whatever. But it's like, when of course, the great deceiver would want us to do that, when it's not, like, that's not where we need to be putting that kind of energy into. But like, just to be like spiritually mature enough to be like, even if it all falls down, like, I know your heart and I know your character and I know you love me and I know you did not bring me this far just to leave.
Sure.
And so I think that's so powerful. That's a great song.
Yeah. Good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
what about you?
I'm going to go ahead and just give it the trifecta.
Okay, come on.
My song actually also comes off of this same exact album.
No way.
This is amazing. Let's just tag Belonging Co.
Yeah, we are all three.
We're awesome.
Apparently, we are digging the new album at Belonging Co. But yeah, I had last week I had a long drive home from Orlando, so I got to listen to several different albums. And this one was one I listened to. I listened to it probably up and down at least twice. But Be With You.
Yep.
Be With You is probably that one has been on repeat for me. It's got like this almost like early 2000s Carrie Job kind of like worship vibe to it. That is just, I don't know. I dig it and I like it, and so it's got a good feeling to it, and it's a good one.
Good album.
That album apparently, if you have not listened to Here Now, or no, not Here Now. That's the first song. It's called Now.
Here Now is good too.
Here Now is also a good one. That first one, I like that one as well. That's a good one. There's not a song on here that I haven't liked, but Belonging Co. is just always so good. But yeah, so Now live by Belonging Co. All three of us are endorsing this album. So,
highly recommend it. Check it out.
Good stuff. Well, like we said, we want to, Aaron is somebody that has been a fixture at Central for a long time, but by the nature of his work, he's not really somebody that is up front and in his role. And so...
prefer it that way.
Yeah, and a lot of you, whether you know it or not, a lot of you know Aaron by the work and the things that you have seen, but you may not know the man that is Aaron. And so we're going to get to dive into his story a little bit today with one of our Your Story episodes. So that being said, Aaron, why don't you just kind of give us your background for those of you that may not know you. Give us however far back you want to go, whether you want to start at age 0 or you want to come up. But yeah, just kind of how you got into what you're in, and all things Aaron Fadler. Yeah. We want to know.
So yeah, I'm from Missouri, or Missouri, however you want to say it, depending on where you're from. I was born in St. Louis, and actually raised the majority of my life in southeast Missouri. Where I'm an only child.
Shout out to the only child gang.
Yeah, we had a dog and a cat, and it was me and the parents, and lived a pretty charmed life. Actually, I've been very blessed, and As an only child, usually they're spoiled rotten. I think I probably fall into that category, if I'm going to be honest. And I went to school at Southeast Missouri State University, where I met my gorgeous wife, Beth. And we began the adventure of our marriage in St. Louis, where we lived a few years, and an small apartment there in South County, where she was still going to grad school at SLU. She's a PT, and I was working at a lighting company in St. Louis, making it was a small. I guess you'd call it a plant. Maybe 30 workers in the back. Where we would design the lighting fixtures in the office and then send it out to the plant to be made by hand. It's just a bunch of skilled workers that knew how to bend pipe and solder pipes together and make these awesome, huge chandeliers that would go in hotels or restaurants or what have you. Mm-hmm. So I worked there for a few years. And after Beth graduated, we moved back. She had an offer at Good Sam, so she took that at PT at Good Sam here in Mount Vernon. So we moved back, and then I transitioned. I got a job at First Cellular. So I was selling phones.
Okay.
First Cellular.
Wait, where was that even at?
First Cellular. Well, I remember it being First Cellular was right next to actually my dad. I remember when my dad's. I don't know. Where was First Cellular? I might be mixing up with Cellular 1.
I believe it was right next to Kroger there.
Yeah, so that's the one that was right next to my dad's store.
Was
First Cellular.
And I worked there. That's where it was anyways. But, we and then we made the transition. They got bought out by Altel. And,
oh, my gosh, I forgot about Altel.
They were bought out again by AT&T. So that's the story behind that.
Wow.
I made it all the way through the Altel transition, and then we were in a small group with John Henniger at the time, and Barb Bartley worked in the back office of Altel, and I guess she had put my name in the hat for this graphic design position that came open here at Central. And, he had knew me, obviously, since we were in a small group, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden he invited Beth and I out to dinner at Showdown. It was Lone Star back then.
Yeah.
So many years ago, he invited me to come on board here at Central, and here we are, 15 years later.
15.
So the moral of the story is get involved in a small group here at Central. It could change your life.
And if John invites you to dinner,
beware.
Be prepared. If John invites you to dinner, be prepared.
That's so funny.
That's so cool. So
you've
been here for about 15 years.
Yep.
And so, were you guys attending? How long had you attended Central before you took the job?
Well, Beth had been here since, I would say, middle school, high school.
So
she grew up here. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so when we were dating, I'd come back on the weekends, and we'd go to church here back when it was still in the building on 10th Street.
Yeah.
What's now the high school and middle school worship building. Yeah.
That's super cool.
So before the 04 building was built. And we've had some history here for sure.
Yeah.
It's cool to think back all the changes that have been going on and all the exciting growth. And
I think it says so much about not only you, but you and Beth, even in your marriage, the longevity of your dedication to just be here and to serve, and it's just powerful.
Thanks.
It's super cool.
Beth is amazing. She actually brought her folks here. They went. She's originally from McLeansboro, Dahlgren area, and they went to another church down there before they moved to Mount Vernon. And Beth felt the call to bring her folks here, and they've been members ever since.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Beth is kind of one of those super volunteers for us on media. She helps Steve AD a lot and stuff, and She keeps everything functioning during Christmas and stuff, and those big ones
She
as well.
yeah, she has a huge heart for media. Loves being the production assistant director to Steve when he's on the weekend services. She'll be helping him call the shots and things like that, getting cameras prepared and ready for what's coming up next. And she just eats it up. She loves it.
Yeah,
All
well,
the organization.
she was helping with Christmas. This last Christmas, of course, and I remember thinking it was so cool because it was my first time, being on staff and doing Christmas and all the things. But like, just it was like an opportunity for me. I had a perspective of what they were doing for the very first time, and Beth was just on it because they were talking about like camera shots and all these things, whatever, to portray what people in the house were experiencing and seeing and watching, and how they were going to communicate that online and for the people who were just watching.
Sure.
And I was like, I didn't even think about that, like, because she's like,
No,
if our camera's not on the camel, they don't even know Camel's in the building until whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're just on it. She's so good.
She is really good at it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's good stuff. She spent all day yesterday with us teaching me how to work a computer.
Yeah, she's
basically.
literally spent her whole day here.
Yeah, it was good. But well, Aaron, Brooke's got. I forgot. We've got like these basic questions that we usually ask everybody.
But that's okay. We can do it in any order.
Yeah. And so now that we've got that down, Brooke, why don't you throw out a couple of these?
Okay.
These
this
questions
is
that
Aaron.
we
This is my
ask
favorite
everybody.
part.
Shoot.
So every time we have a guest, we get to dive in and ask a few kind of random questions, just in a way of getting to know you better and hearing your heart or whatever. But what is, so there are three of them. And the first one is, it's not my favorite question, but I think it's an interesting question. My favorite one is number 3, but we'll get there. My first question is, what is something most people don't know about you?
It is a good question.
It is a good question. Like, I mean, if we just, whether it's something that you like or don't like or do or whatever, like, what's something people don't know about you?
I would like to think that I'm a spontaneous person, but that's probably just because I'm a creative, I guess. But I actually like things not to change, which is hard being here at Central because
Things
finding
change all
that
the
out of my
time.
personality through all the change that has gone through, especially in the past year or so. It has really kind of made me hyper aware of that. So yeah.
Wow. Well, there you go, Eric. He doesn't like change, so please be kind. That's
Noted.
awesome. Yeah.
Noted.
No. That's a really good answer. Okay, number 2. So we usually, so far, all the guests that we've had on here, they are like on our like band or worship team or whatever. So this question is a little different, but I think I'm still going to ask it. So the original question is, what is your favorite song and your like least favorite song to lead? Is what we ask. So for you, this is going to be really fun. What is your favorite song that we lead that you get to worship to? And what is your least favorite song that we lead that you have to worship through?
Yeah. Let's see. I don't like to give the answer that they're all good. I don't have one that I don't like, really.
Oh.
I really don't have one that sticks out. I'm sorry. I'm such a letting you
It
down
shows your
there,
kindness,
but,
really.
it shows my people pleasing.
I would really love to know what Enneagram you are. Yeah. Do you know what your Enneagram is?
No, I don't remember.
We're going to have to have a
it's on a chart somewhere.
People pleaser. What do you call it? What's the term that they used? It's not people pleaser, but
what would it be? Probably a 2.
I mean,
well,
I don't know. I mean,
2?
seriously, I have no.
The person that's
I'm the least far away from people pleasing, so I'm really unfamiliar.
Yeah,
I probably need to
happy
be
and
more
make sure,
considerate.
Yeah,
that is
others,
thinking about others.
That is
so
definitely
funny.
that is definitely you. And that's, I will say. I mean, like, I don't know if you ever. So, pretty much the majority of weekends, you can find Aaron up in the light booth. Which, if you have no idea where the light booth is, it's basically directly above the center tunnel in the room. That's pretty much
the clock.
Yeah, that's
that
where,
red clock. That's where I'm at.
And one of my, I mean, typically I am somewhere also in the middle, and that one of my, I mean, Aaron's got 47,000 buttons up there that he can press or do, or
So
he has.
true.
I mean, it is like a whole. I mean, it's like a whole NASA workstation up there of things that are going on. But
very,
it's
space orbit
I mean,
type.
there's just a lot of lights, a lot of buttons, a lot of levers, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But despite really needing multiple hands all the time, like one of my favorite things is because I'm usually staring at the screen that is directly below him. So I'm looking
With all our lyrics on it.
I'm looking that direction a lot. And I mean,
I felt like you're staring at me. So
I know.
okay.
Yeah.
That's
That's
good to know.
So many times you will see Aaron up there just in his own little world worshiping away. And
that's awesome.
And that's one of my favorite views is just somebody that's, talk about worshiping as a part of your work. I mean, that's
you do
so
well.
representative. So
For sure.
Yeah.
what's another one?
Well, the last question, which this is my favorite question, it is, what is one goal, dream, or thing that you wish to accomplish one day? And it could be just anything.
Oh, wow. I'm not really a long-term goal setter. It's just not in my personality.
I can totally relate to that.
Beth she does a way better job of long-term planning and goals and things like that. But if there was a way to move Central closer to the ocean, because I would love to have a beach house.
Let's open a campus.
I'm a big ocean guy, and
Yeah.
Beth and I both love the beach, and we've made the trip down to Destin in the past couple earlier this year, and then a couple of years ago, and highly recommend it. I mean, can't beat the beach, and can't beat the clear water. We went earlier this year, and the temperature was not out of control. You could actually breathe, and like it is right now. I feel like we're living in Florida here in Southern Illinois, but
It's so hot right now.
yeah, there's just a plethora of things to do, and that's a short answer.
Seriously, like if the news or the day ever comes and John's just like, hey, we're opening a campus in Destin, Florida. I'm going to be like, listen, Aaron's your guy. Let's do it.
I've been pushing for like Central Christian Church Honolulu for years.
I'm
Like,
sure you have.
I
Yeah.
like the way you
Take it,
think.
like, Hawaii needs churches too.
Yeah, they do.
And
Absolutely.
I see it as a large mission field.
There we go. Yep.
There's
A lot of opportunity
seven
there.
islands
Yeah.
there. However
That's
many
awesome.
islands. There's so many things. Cool. Well, one of the things that Aaron does is he has been key in all of our. One of the things I think Central is known for is unique and creative set designs. I mean, for as long as I can remember, just being a part of creative art stuff and whatever, like set designs have been a big deal. Like I know we've gone from, there were days where like, I think every series we were almost, doing
Yeah.
like, like one time I remember for a Lost series, we had an airplane on stage. We've had a plethora of stage sets, but Aaron is usually one of the key people in designing those and creating those and making those happen. So Aaron, I'm curious, you don't necessarily have to name it down to one, but like of all the sets that you've been a part of building and doing, what's one or two of your favorites?
Yeah, there's one that we have right now is right up there. I've been wanting to do this look for quite a long time with the Edison bulbs hanging, and we tried to recreate this is a kind of a, I don't want to say knockoff, but it's based off of a Grammy set that was back in, I don't know, it's at least 2015 or so that they had the Grammy Awards, but so this one is a fave, and then one time we had the band up on some really high platforms, like literally they had to climb ladders and steps in order to get to their positions on the stage.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
And
The drums were like 15 feet high. It felt like.
Yeah,
The drums were up there.
okay, yeah, you're talking about the one with
Is
the
that
arch.
the one?
Yeah,
Is
that
that the
was
one you're
even
thinking?
higher than the one I was thinking of.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean,
They-
I remember
Oh my
being
gosh,
really
because you need
high.
a ladder.
and I remember being borderline nervous being up there.
Thank goodness nobody fell
gosh.
off on that.
So is it just like in the middle? Like how I help my I mean, this was before me, so I don't
If you
even know
can
how to picture it.
I don't know if you're an American Idol fan, but they had like an arch truss, kind of like what we have now, that big arch, but it was leaning on its at an angle, and the band was behind that angled arch. It would come down to the floor on the legs of the arch. Think of the St. Louis arch if it was leaning, basically. And the drums were at the apex there of the back of the arch.
Oh my gosh!
And then the other instruments would taper down as it got closer to the floor. And I remember, man, our band is like super like laid back and just go with the flow. They were like super excited about it, like kids that have just gotten a new treehouse, they were like all about it, climbing up
I
these
just
ladders
picture
and
like
stuff.
Randy and Kyle, giddy as can be, just climbing up there, and that's so funny. Wow, no, I've never seen that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one. I was thinking about we were talking about the one when we had the spinning stage.
Yeah, the turntable. I forgot about that.
The turntable stage.
We still have the hub down in the cafe storage that A&S Metal built for us. Was the center hub. Couldn't have done it without that. I mean, the whole thing spun around that hub. And
I remember, I think I was on the first weekend that like we unveiled that thing, and I remember we were like backwards, so it had it was not spun around.
Yeah.
And you had like, I don't know what I always referred to them as like work lights, but they were like the metal tin
dish lights,
the dish
lights,
and I mean there were like hundreds of these dish lights that like lined the back of this thing,
basically like a big heat lamp.
Yeah, and week one, we hadn't figured out, I don't think exactly how hot those were gonna get behind you.
Oh wow!
And like the drums were like almost right up behind me. I mean, I was just pouring sweat. It was so hot. Like these lights, they would fire up these lights, and I was like, I mean, something's on fire. Something has to be on fire behind me. And then like I look, it's just like, no, I'm just in a tanning bed. I'm in a giant tanning bed.
It wrapped around you. It was on a curve.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then I think we ended up switching them out for some bulbs that had
the mirror bulbs.
The mirror on the front. Because I remember it was like, hey, I might have like second-degree burns here.
Yeah, that was before the days of LED. Everything's cool.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was a fun set. And I do remember too. I think they had still been playing with the speed. And I think it was taking longer to get around.
Yeah.
When we're sitting there like, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Here we come.
Yeah, and I think it got caught a couple times.
Yeah, there was a few
something when we were working the kinks out.
Yeah, there was a few foot pushes to get that thing turned a few times.
But I remember going to a Fellowship Church conference, and that's where we got the idea for that set. It was from Fellowship Church down in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah, and then. Gosh, we've gotten to Christmas lights is another thing that we've gotten a lot into, and that's kind of become a thing, and all the pixels and stuff. And if you've attended or stopped by and watched our light show outside, Aaron plays a big part in putting all that together, and
I've had a lot of help
laying all that out. Yeah,
he's got a great team of guys to help with. Couldn't do it without him. Wes in particular, Wes Neal, if you're listening, you're the man. I appreciate you.
Awesome.
Dr. Wes in the house.
Yep.
Couldn't make things happen without you. He's my fill-in when I take a weekend off. And praise the Lord, I don't think people even realize I'm gone. And it's hard to come by in a lighting type setup where you've got something on the scale like this, where there's, like you said, a lot of buttons to push and things like that. But very, very thankful for and all the residents. Obviously, they've been helping out a ton and getting lights hung. Some of these lights are heavy. They're upwards of 100 pounds a piece, and it's nice to have younger dudes who don't have back problems and knee problems like myself.
People are now going to be like, wait a minute, those lights hanging above my head are 100 pounds a piece? Wait a minute, there's 1, 2, 3.
Look out.
Yeah.
No.
I remember Wes asked me to, it was, I guess, Christmas or something, I feel like, because we were there super late at night, and we had just ordered, like, what is the place you get sushi from?
Ollie.
Yes. Someone went and got that, and we were like, in our next wind of work. So it had to have been Christmas.
Yeah, it
but
was.
Wes was like, hey, like, can you help me lift this light that was supposed to go on some like pole thing? And I was like, yes, whatever, absolutely, I'll help you. I'm always willing.
Yeah.
And then
You
I'm
didn't
just
know
like
what
go
you
over
were
there
up
and help him.
against,
And I'm
huh?
like, Wes, this is like 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, I'm no help to you. And he like was just like, oh, okay, well, we'll ask someone else. And I'm like, look at me. Do I look like I can
He was
lift
just looking
that?
for moral support.
But
I guess.
at the same time, he had all full faith in me. So
for Wes.
I hated to break it to him, but yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're heavy.
It was so
They're-
funny.
You would
But
think
I-
they'd
but
get
that was-
lighter with LEDs now, but it
Yeah.
seems like, I don't know, they just have to build bigger heat sinks, which adds even more weight onto them.
Yeah. One of the things, and Aaron, we'll ask you this. One of the things that Aaron does really well, and our whole team does this really well, but is, in the creative process of whether it's, placing lights or whether it's creating a set design or whether it's writing a song, whatever it is, there's a lot of elements and a lot of kind of figuring out how to do something when you can't really just do it. Like, for example, the set we've got now. So we've got 3 large truss arches that go across. So to like actually purchase the aluminum version of those would be, it's crazy how much money that you would spend on that. So Aaron came up with this idea that basically we were going to buy a bunch of PVC, buy a PVC bender, and we were going to basically hand bend each one of these PVC pipes.
Easy
And,
enough, right?
I mean, it was an experience. That is a definite shout out to the residents on that one. They bent pipe but I mean, we've had numerous concerts come through, and they're all like, "Man, these trusses are crazy. You guys must have spent." I mean, I can't imagine what you guys spent on those. We're like, well, actually, like, take a harder look at those. Like, look at them again, and they're like, "Oh, that's." Like, it's just PVC. And they're like, that's
If
PVC.
you get close up to it,
No
you
way.
can tell the spray paint.
I was
you
going
know,
to say the
and
spray paint. I mean, that was my first day on the job. Do you remember this?
I do remember this.
It was set change, first day on the job. Not only did I get sent to Lowe's, which was terrifying, to get stuff that you guys needed, but then also I was on spray paint duty, and like my finger was just numb for just days. I mean, it was so
That's all
much
part of the
spray paint,
experience.
and it was also like I had like silver fingers for also days. But
I think it's inevitable that it happens, but literally, it was Thursday, and we were like, the decision has to be made. Either this thing ain't going to be ready, or we
need to do it,
or we're just going to have to go for
I
it.
remember I was in the camp of, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
We are not going to get done. So you probably need to plan on closing the curtain this weekend. And I got voted out. You know?
oh my gosh,
So
poor
roughly
Aaron.
enough.
24 hours later, an all-nighter later.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. He made it happen.
That is so crazy. I remember that because I was like, do you guys need coffee? Because you hadn't slept.
Everybody came in and go, why are you guys
yeah.
wearing the same clothes you're wearing yesterday? It's like, well, do you really want to know? Or do you, we've not left?
I don't remember if it was Sarah or Adrian, but one of them even made a comment. They were just like, I just anticipated to wake up and my husband be home, but I guess it was an all-nighter.
Yeah.
I forget who said that, but that was so funny.
So yeah, thank
That's the
goodness
nature
we
of
don't
the
do that
beast.
every sermon series now.
Oh yeah,
No,
it
really
is.
is.
Great.
It's crazy. But Aaron, I'm curious. Explain for those that aren't in our world very often. Like, as somebody that whether it's stage design or whether you're putting together colors for a song, or just the way that your beams are going to move, etc. What are some of the ways that you like? Where do you get inspiration from? How do you draw inspiration? Like, where do ideas just pop in your head? Like, how does that all come about?
I think it's just accumulation of, like I said, we've been to conferences. We've been, used to, back when we don't have like cable TV or satellite anymore. We just have basic whatever. But, back in the days when we had all that, I used to see the award shows and stuff like that, which I still, try to stream them every now and then. But, you just tons of different churches are doing different stuff. And, we all, kind of get ideas from each other, and a lot of the stuff just honestly pops in my head. I don't know
You're an artist, that's why.
how I see it, but it just is there. When I hear a song, these are the ideas that I come to head, and thankful that we are able to have the resources to be able to carry this stuff out. I just feel like it does. I feel like it does enhance the songs that y'all have, and I think it helps people get in the right posture to worship, and I want to do my best to support that and to create an environment that is welcoming and joyful, and that reflects the heart of this church. It's important. So yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you've never been to one of our services, you can always watch YouTube Central Now. Shameless plug, or go to centralnow.com on demand. You can watch anytime you want if you've never been or seen one of our services. But that kind of transitions us into a good point, because I mean, the lighting just plays such a key role. Because I know, a lot of people be like, they're that church that's got all the lights and the smoke and and the loud music and all this stuff, and we do actually have all those things. We have loud music, we have smoke, and we do have lights. So it's technically haze, but whatever. But I mean, even going back to like the earliest of churches, stained glass is obviously beautiful and gorgeous, but like stained glass also was serving a purpose. Like it was literally. They would put stained glass strategically to allow light to come in and it be, a colored look and things to set an atmosphere and to set a mood, you know what I mean? And so it's not like this is not, like this is all new or whatever. I mean, in churches, we've been creating atmospheres of worship from the very beginning. And it really does. I mean, if we did what we did with the lights up and it just being, like we were just up there singing songs, like it's just not gonna be the same, because
it has a different feel.
It does. And I think what Aaron does, what you do so well, and a lot of people do this, but Aaron just almost tells the story visually with lights. And I mean, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what goes through your mind while you're programming a song, but I mean, I think that's where, the lyrics are obviously talking, but then for people to visually almost be able to connect with like, hey, this song's down and the lights reflect that, or, or there's a big silhouette kind of, like you can't really see, the person that's singing, but like it creates, it all ties it all together, So what goes through what are some of the things you look for, and kind of how you tell the story of a song through lighting?
Yeah, I think I just try to reflect the mood of, whatever part of the song that we're in. If we're in the verse and it's quiet and it's, slow and worshipful, I try to use lower intensities and slower movements and maybe some softer patterns and things like that invoke that feeling. If it's a driving beat, obviously you want to try to have faster moving stuff that's maybe blinking or flashing at the beat of the drums, and you've got some movement, some harder edge type stuff, some sharper patterns, things that it's just kind of like a palette that a painter has. He's got all these different colors to use, and it's just choosing the one that you feel enhances the particular bridge or chorus or whatever part of the song or whatever instrument that you're trying to, or whatever the singer is saying. If they've got something in particular that they're saying that you can enhance with lighting. A lot of times we sing about out of the darkness or things like that. A lot of times we'll have rays of light coming out of nowhere. And just thinking about how the lighting can reflect, enhance what the song's talking about. And a lot of times we'll bring in colors that jive with the sermon series, so that we've got just the graphics package and videos and colors on stage all work together, and sometimes we just try to do our best to make sure it's all coordinating and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think the intentionality and the thoughtfulness of all that is just super cool.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Try to.
Yeah, I mean, there really is. There's so much that goes, and that's eventually we were all laughing before this. Like, eventually Steve Dillingham will be on this. We're gonna like Aaron was like, let's get Aaron on here, and then maybe Steve will see like it's not so scary, and we're not scary, and then like if we can get Aaron and Steve on here, then we're going places.
I mean, because in all seriousness, like people need to hear your heart and hear the talent and just the gifting. Because I think it's just something that we appreciate so much. I mean, we're just like, everyone needs to know about this.
Yeah. I mean, it really is, because cool. I mean, I've had the privilege of working with both those guys for several years now, and to just know firsthand and to like physically witness the amount of work and time and energy and effort that goes into all the things behind the scenes that make what everybody sees, whether on a weekend or an Easter service or a Christmas service or a recharge or fantastic, I mean, like just all the work and the time and the energy and the brainstorming and the planning and creating that goes into all these things that so many of us are used to just coming and worshiping and experiencing and loving. There's so many people and there's so much just God-gifted talent that comes in behind that. And that's where I think, what I love, one of the things, my favorite things about Aaron and your background is like, as you said, like a guy that was designing lights, which honestly is super cool. Like just to think like you go into Lowe's or something and you don't ever really think like somebody had to design that, and create that. But to take your design ability and to now transition that and use that in a way that, whether that's graphically or whether that's lighting wise and creating atmospheres of worship for people. I mean, like, just one example of no matter what your giftedness is, whether you're serving inside of a church or out, like, you have a gift, you have a talent to bring, and you can use it to not only, glorify God, but lead other people in worship. We consider what Aaron and Steve and all those guys are leading worship just as much as Brooke or I are, and from a microphone. And if Aaron turns the lights off and Steve shuts the video off, then it really doesn't matter what Brooke or I are doing because nobody's going to see it, nobody's going to hear it, etc. And so, it just all goes in such tandem. But I remember this past Christmas, so we did, like, Aaron kind of had the idea of like. We kind of wanted the ceiling to look like sky. And so we were, just brainstorming ideas, like it would be just so cool if we could create this ceiling that would look like a sky, because we basically started kind of with this opening scene kind of thing of like Jesus, like basically coming down, like representing light, coming down to earth as
I remember
surrounded in you do remember. Still trauma to PTSD.
Yeah.
But and so as we were trying to like, what could we do? How could we make this look? So Aaron was like, what? Let's just cover the ceiling in pixels. And we're like, that's crazy. Let's do it. And so like literally, if you were at Christmas, you saw we had this. Pretty much our entire auditorium ceiling, worship center ceiling it was incredible, covered in.
Oh, it was awesome.
How many pixels would it have been?
I want to say there was close to 5,000.
Yeah,
that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I remember stunning. Like so many times, especially. So then, not only did we create, have that going and just all the stuff, but like we're talking that each individual one of those pixels could be program controlled, etc.
At any second.
Yeah, and so that's the kind of thing. But then to just see, like, as we're telling this story of Jesus coming down, and then we have this ball of light that Wes and Aaron kind of put together that lowers from the ceiling. And then you've got like these pixel lights that are going on above that are kind of like representing, like they're just, the first song especially, outside of the one that Brooke opened with, like when we were all kind of out there. But I remember I had such a hard time. Like I kept catching myself just staring, because I
And
want
both.
It was
Like,
so cool.
I would be like, oh, Eric, you got to look down. You got to like, you're looking at the ceiling again. Because I mean, it was just like, I mean, even me, it was just it was just such a like, I don't know. I just felt like encapsulated in what was
That was
happening.
awesome.
Yeah,
You know
it
what I
was
mean?
kinda
And
like,
like in the worship, it was like you look up, you look sideways, you look out, like you were just in it.
In it. That's what I was gonna
And-
say. You're just in it.
yeah, if you've
Yeah.
ever been had the chance to be out in at night and see, you know, on a perfectly clear night, you know, out in the country where, you know, there's no pollution of light, you know, from the city, and you look up at the sky and you see these stars that are just feels like you could reach out and touch them. I kind of feel like that's what it was like. It was just like right there. You know,
Yeah.
we had the chance to go to on a mission trip. Beth and I went to Africa in 2011, I believe, and the night sky is exactly that. You know, there's no city lights or anything to tarnish the purity of that sky, and it's just like it's just 3D. You know, you feel like you could reach out and touch those stars.
Cool story about that. That was the There Is Hope tree came from that trip, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's-
the album cover
yeah,
came from
the
a
album
picture
cover
that was
from a-
taken on that trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. That tree was, I want to say, a good 20 feet at least across.
That's
So,
crazy.
It was ginormous. Like we reached out hand to hand and tried to, you know, the whole group of us couldn't reach. There was like 17 of us that went on that trip. And I don't think even all of us, arm to arm, stretched out around that tree could even fit around that tree. It was so
Wow.
big. That
Oh, my goodness.
baobab tree is what they're called.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. That's
And-
so cool.
Yeah, it's
It doesn't look like it on the picture.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah,
In real
it's-
life, it was
I remember
just
seeing
ginormous.
seeing the actual picture of the inspiration of the There Is Hope hope tree, but and yeah, that's one of the cool things, and that's why I mean, I know there's, you know, some other people that listen to this podcast that are, you know, worship leaders other places, and I think that's one of the things that I have enjoyed the most is, you know, just getting to work with those guys and, you know, like Aaron and Steve and just, you know, everybody that does in that. As far as, I mean, like Easter, you know, we had this stained glass we wanted it to kind of feel like old church stained glass vibe, you know, and so just talking with Aaron and Wes and just kind of like, hey, how could we, you know, kind of make this feel like, you know, without literally getting stained glass and putting it everywhere, you know, and then, I mean, they figured out a way through lights to basically encapsulate the entire room in this stained glass pattern that they could do stuff with, and I don't know, it's just it's cool to see, you know, on this end where we kind of start a lot from, you know, we're starting from the ground up, you know, a lot, and then just to see how everybody's minds work and the creativity and the way that the ideas come out, you know, and just kind of it builds and grows, and everybody's, you know, you're doing something that's, hey, what about this, and what if we tried this, and you know, it turns into what it turns into, you know, which is crazy. And so we've got we're working on some new outside Christmas plans, which we won't share
exciting.
too much, but yeah. So
Hopefully it'll come to fruition.
yeah,
this
there's
year.
some.
Yeah.
We're trying to shake up some things outside.
And let's
so.
just talk about the fact that it's June right now.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
June, and we're
It's
like
never too early to
dreaming up
Christmas.
Christmas. Yeah.
Pretty much as soon as Easter ends, it's like
It's
okay,
Christmas
it's
time.
Christmas time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's time. So, well, Fad, it has been. We're so glad
Thank you.
that
Oh,
we
yeah,
we
an
got you out
honor.
of your.
So
I
fun.
was
Yeah.
a little afraid to come on, but you guys are just so chill and relaxed. I just feel like
Told you we're just
having
hanging.
a good
We're
time.
just
We're just
hanging,
hanging out
yeah.
like we would in our new what do they call that? What does Linda call that?
Our
place?
habitat?
Habitat. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we're just hanging out in the habitat.
Our new CA
the new
headquarters
hang-
is our habitat.
Yeah, the habitat. But,
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
But yes,
It's
if you
amazing.
so hopefully after you listen to this episode now, this weekend or the next weekend you're there. I mean, I would say not in a like distract yourself from worship way, but like now you can hopefully understand a little bit more of just what's going on around you and the purpose and the intentionality behind it all. Because
Come
it's
on
not
up to say hi.
Yeah.
come up to the light booth. Aaron, hey, shameless plug. We're always looking for lighting volunteers. So if
Yeah,
you've
if you're
been like,
into
There you
that
go.
kind of thing.
I know.
Yeah.
I always tell Aaron, I said, I'm coming up to your tower, and like
Yeah.
I charge up the stairs.
yeah, Aaron
I'm
can,
always out of breath by the time I walk up there. It shows you how in
Yeah.
shape I am.
Aaron has, he can teach me how to at least turn everything on and off. So if he can teach me that, he can teach you
Absolutely,
how to hit buttons.
Would love to have you.
It's awesome.
Send rocket ships to space on the while we're doing lighting. But
Yeah, there's no wrong button. Everything is
it's
fixable.
it's gonna fire something.
Yeah.
At some
There
point.
might be snow falling from the ceiling, but or confetti.
The snow, yes, snow, confetti. That was.
But that's okay.
Speaking of
That's amazing.
snow, we went to Disney, a couple weeks ago, and we went to my daughter's super into Frozen, whatever, and they have like a Frozen live show or whatever.
that's
So we went to Frozen, and of course at the end, Elsa's out there firing off all her snow, and they've got snow machines going. I told Adrian, I was like, man, this is the first time I've ever been on this end, the receiving end of the snow machines. I was
yeah.
like, this is really annoying. I
is.
hate these things.
I'm glad I'm up there.
I was like, I'm covered in this stuff. This is awful, but
This isn't real. It looks real,
yeah,
but it's not.
but it won't stop us from using them. But I was like, wow, this is kind of like, oh, well,
Yeah, that's what
here
it feels like.
Yeah, that's
You're
what
on the other side of
this
the
is what it
stage.
feels like to be covered in foam for for the remainder
But
of
boy,
the time.
was it fun.
But boy, was it fun.
Yeah.
And Blakely loved it. The kids were like, they thought that there was real, like Elsa was shooting ice out of her hands. So that was cool.
As long
But
as you don't follow up with confetti after the
yeah,
foam,
after the foam, confetti after the foam.
That's a no-no,
And
yeah.
that you don't want to do. You're right. I think we've actually done that before.
Yeah, we've learned the bad way not
Yeah,
to
I
do
think
that.
we've learned that the hard way, unfortunately. But we appreciate, Aaron, you taking time out of your busy schedule to come and hang
Thanks
out
for
with
having
us and share. And again, we are, artist is just really the only way
That's
to
it. Aaron the
only
artist.
only way to describe it, and
Yeah.
just paint some. So many times we go back and look at pictures and people send in pictures, and it's just like, wait, that
Look at
was
the
like
lights.
that was on our stage.
It's
Wow,
so
that's-
cool.
So
Yeah.
Praise
we
the Lord.
appreciate
Yeah.
him. Yeah, praise the Lord for everything and just all the resources and just people that he has provided that just know how to make it work and do what it does. And so we're
Yeah, I
so
feel like-
grateful and thankful for that.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
God's got His hand on this church, and always has. And I just feel like we are in such a season of full steam ahead. I just feel like there's some good things happening and good things to come. And so, if you are listening and want a church to check out, I highly encourage you to check out one of our
Yeah,
services.
we'd love to have
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, Friday
And
night.
even if you're
6
not
o'clock,
into
yeah.
the lighting type
Yeah.
and the haze and stuff like that, come to our traditional service.
Yeah.
8
It's a little
a.m.
laid back. And
Yeah, we
you'll
don't
Come
fit
hang out
right
with
in.
Kevin. He'd also love to have you.
Kev would love to have you. We haven't
He
had
sure
Kev
would.
on here yet.
Oh, it's
I was thinking
coming.
about that. How have we not had Kev?
Oh, it's coming.
They're not ready for Kev and they're
We wanted to make friends first before we.
that's true. Until we introduce them to
That's
do
awesome.
the
Him and
Kev,
Hayden
yeah.
went golfing the other day.
I heard that.
Yeah, so
He
there's-
told me he hurt his
he's-
back and
Yep, and he's exactly, and now he's golfing, and he was a massage. He had like this massager thing, like in between holes.
Yeah.
He's
it
just
tells you how cool
relentless.
like just how like in our volunteers are. Like, yeah, Kev. I mean, Kev's our traditional worship leader, and then he plays trumpet in our band. And I mean, like he literally, like he couldn't move the other day, and he was here not even for a service. Like he's just here for rehearsal, and he's up there, and I'm like, "How you feeling, Kev?" He's like, "Well, I can't breathe." I'm like, "Well, how are you even playing trumpet?" He goes, "Well, I mean, it just hurts really bad, but I'm here." I'm like, "Go home. Like, why are you here?"
He's
Like,
committed.
They are. They're all committed.
Like,
That's
go
awesome.
heal your body and then
It's a
come back.
labor of
But,
love.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we have the best volunteers.
We
and it's
do.
the best team. So thankful for them. We are thankful for you as well for listening to the Praise Podcast. And we would always love to hear from you. You can email us at brooke@centralnow.com or eric@centralnow.com. Or if you're listening to this and maybe you're on a creative arts team or you are a volunteer, you got lighting questions or graphic questions, Aaron would love nothing more than to give you any tips or tricks or insight that he has. You can find him at Aaron@centralnow.com.
Aaron at
Aaron.
centralnow.com.
Hey, Ron. That's it.
Aaron
Email me.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
we lovingly call him A-Fad, but yeah, Aaron.
That should be
2
your new
A's,
work email. We'll tell him
A-Fad@centralnow.com.
Easier to spell.
Yeah,
Like it.
but You can email us. We'd love to hear from you. Again, if you have any questions about anything that we've talked about, we'd always love to answer those, talk about those, or there's something you think we should talk about. We'd love to hear that as well. Of course, you can also do that by leaving a rating and review. We always appreciate that. That just helps this podcast get seen. The message that we are delivering, which we are hoping is a message of God and hope and love. And so that's we'd love for more people to hear that, and you can help us do that by leaving a rating and review, or you can do that by sharing this podcast with somebody you know or on your social media. And of course, hit that like and follow button, and that will automatically subscribe you to the Praise Podcast family. So every time we drop an episode, you don't have to wonder if it's new. It'll automatically pop right up in your feed and say, hey, Brooke and Eric are talking about something again, so you should listen. So we are so thankful for all of you. We're thankful for Aaron. Now we're going to go tell Steve that
it's his turn.
He's next. He's up. So Steve Dillingham, awesome. We're coming for you. Be ready. But yeah, we appreciate you all listening as always. And we want to be people that in every day, in every way, bring the praise. Thank you all for listening. We hope you have a good week.